Hello, you are listening to Talking Utter Slot, the podcast about having fun with toy cars. And it's the big one. It's the final of the 2024 World Cup of Slot. After a number of matches I can't think of in my head at the moment, but there were 16 teams whittled down to just two. So I think it was 14 matches so far, and this is the 15th. That's the way it works. That we've got Slot.it Policar versus Scalextric as a match-up to see which one is the best. And as with all the other matches, it's just about what Nick and I think. There's no empirical measurement. There's no scientific method. It's pure, unadulterated, biased opinion. So, with that...
But it's also right.
Well, undoubtedly, because it's you... Well, if we don't agree, though, then that would mean one of us is wrong. And that's a difficult one. And that's worth mentioning, actually. If we don't agree, after several minutes of discussion, we then go to penalties in the finest football tradition. And penalties, in this case, are going to be a toss of the coin. Do you have the coin?
No, I don't think I do. Yeah, I have an coin.
An coin.
An coin will do.
An coin.
But I don't think it's going to come to this shiny €2 piece for this special occasion.
Oh, political moment.
I'm going to, adopt Mr. Ecclestone's approach to resolving conflict. Is that, we go away and we have a little chat.
Can I remind you,
we decide.
We don't have any lawyers, but just before you say what you're saying, we don't have any lawyers.
We go away and we have a little chat, and then we decide that I was right all along.
Which is true, actually. Okay, so anyway, if we do fail to reach a conclusion, we will have penalty kick out, which will be best of 5, I think, since it's the final. And so it'll be, tosses of the coin, and whoever gets to 3 first.
You're angling for a penalty shootout here.
No,
already.
I'm just covering. Just so the listeners know, should we get to that position, then we'll, they know what's to come. We're not just making it up on the spot.
Okay.
So, let's get into it then. So it's Slot.it Policar versus Scalextric, Italy versus Great Britain, modernity versus tradition, perhaps, maybe a way of putting it.
China versus Vietnam in terms of your manufacturing.
Yeah. That's another angle, yeah.
What can we say? Where do we start, Scott? Where do we start?
Okay,
Obviously,
I'll start. On you go.
Well, I was going to say Scalextric, sort of the founding father of the hobby in terms of popularising it. Yes, there were electric racing systems in the 30s. Tim Birkin designed one, the Le Mans winner, before his sad demise.
Fantastic Nick Garton trivia there. This is... People should tune in just for the motorsport history trivia. Fantastic. I didn't know that Birkin had done that. Anyway, carry on. He's not in the final.
Well, exactly. He was morted before he managed to sell his product. So it's over to Margate with Chaz and Dave playing in the background. I do sincerely hope. Down at Margate, you can keep your Costa Brava and all of that. Anyway, yeah, they've been doing it. They've been doing it for 70 plus years now. They introduced most of us, to the hobby, whether it was the British version, the French version, the Spanish version, whether it was your knockoff Russian ones that were around for a while.
Mexican as well.
Mexican ones. Oh, yeah. You see, they're everywhere. But we're really talking about today, aren't we? And what the product range is and what they do and the cut of their jib in general.
And how do you view the cut of their jib?
A lot better than it was. In as much as we are seeing fewer and fewer full detail interiors, which, as Colin Chapman would always say, is just there for the ride. There's nothing to enhance them as a slot car, but the market that Scalextric is trying to plough is
Sailing metaphors.
Sailing, farming,
Ploughing
we'll
metaphor.
throw them all in, left, right, and centre, hither and yon. Yeah, so they have gone from being pure slot cars, which do nothing else and can be nothing else, because if you look back at the 70s stuff and some of the 80s stuff, it's not actually going to look good on a shelf. Whereas certainly since the Cadillac LMP car, the game changer for Scalextric 22 years ago, followed by the MG EX8, the cars were suddenly shelf quality models as well as being slot cars. And they ploughed that furrow for quite a long time and produced what were effectively static cars motorized with big magnets in to keep them on the track. That culture has fortunately gone. We're seeing more tray interiors. We're seeing more inline cars. We're seeing more tractable cars. We're not yet seeing the end of sort of a preoccupation with how they look on the shelf, the anticipation that a lot of people buy them and never put them on the track, the expectation that even more people buy them and never tinker with them. They just take them out of the box, put them on the track, Scalextric's own track, and off they go. Which for those of us who are in the hobby and have a broader interest in slot cars and running them is frustrating. Same frustration exists with Carrera. That's the biggest downside of both brands for me, is their insistence on big wheels, fixed front axles, nav guides, because it doesn't matter if you've got a magnet in.
Carry on. I'm keeping my powder dry on all this. On all this.
Yeah, I mean, the range is fabulous in terms of what's out there. Nobody else does Australian cars. Nobody keeps that much of an eye on America, apart from perhaps Carrera. So all the world's markets are covered by what they sell, pretty much. Maybe not to everyone's satisfaction, but you're never going to be to everyone's satisfaction. But the thing is, there are Holdens, there are Ford Falcons, there are interesting bits and pieces for everyone around the world to find in the catalogue. And there are also TV cars and police cars and emergency vehicles and what else? You know, just they run the gamut of four-wheeled and more than four-wheeled stuff. And the track system is there. It's always reliable. Frustratingly sometimes, but it's always reliable. And they've got all the buildings and everything else that you need to do a home setup. You can run clubs with Scalextric stuff. It's all there. You can do it all.
Okay, so before we hand the trophy to Scalextric, because that's what that sounds like, I think the one thing I'd pick you up on, I think when you talk about, and this is a general point, many of those listening may disagree with me, but we probably represent, and I'm guessing here, less than 10% of the buyers of Scalextric product. So we, as in the people like you described, or people who like running the cars, racing the cars, all that sort of thing, most people buy them to play with them, and that's fine. Some people buy them to put them on a shelf, and that's fine. And I would also say, and I think this is kind of where I've evolved probably most into, is I just like running them round. So it's not model railway like in the sense of they're going slowly, but yeah, I like watching the car go round. I'm not that interested in whether it's absolutely the fastest it can be or beating someone else. Occasionally I do races, as you know, and it's fun and it's exciting. So you use something else, you get another car. But the actual sort of joy out of a slot car, Scalextric can give you a lot of that. And you've mentioned all the other stuff. I think to look at the opposition, as it were, so having sung the praises of Scalextric, pretty much all of what you've just said could be said of Slot.it Policar as well.
Yep.
I would say the track system is better. I think it's with the caveat that I haven't yet tried a Scale Auto track system, so I don't know, but I think this Policar track system is the best there is now.
Let it go, Scott. They went out in the first round. Let it go.
I've just covered. I genuinely haven't tried it, so I mean, maybe. So they're new. So the track system's new, and it's had the benefit of learning from all of everybody else's mistakes and trials, and that's fine. That's called development and engineering. I think the starter set, is every bit as good. There is only one, but you can get some track. You get some fast, reliable, robust cars. You get an adjustable voltage transformer, which I think is absolutely crucial, not just for people new to the hobby, but for people. It allows you to balance speed against everything else.
There's only one set with cars, but there are also the starter sets without cars. And I like that confidence. We can have a 2-lane or a 4-lane, and it's like, yeah, put your own cars on. It's fine. And I like that.
Well, I
Doesn't matter what brand, put them on.
Yeah. I think for people who've got, it's recognition that a lot of people, probably in that 10%, have already got lots of cars. Whereas if Scalextric were to offer a set with no cars in it, the high street retailers would go, "What? What? You mad?" Different markets, different markets. Slot.it, I'm lumping Slot.it Policar together because I think it would be difficult to separate them in a way. The detail on the cars is, I think you could put many, if not all, of their cars on a shelf. It would be an acceptable static model. Wheels maybe not quite the right size, but maybe the only thing wrong. And certainly they go very well when you put them on track. But interestingly, we saw in some of the comments, and thank you for everybody who's been commenting. It's been nice to see, and it's good fun. I know some of you disagree heartily with what we're doing, and that's fine. That's fine. But some people are saying they've bought a Slot.it, and they think they're rubbish. It didn't run properly. And in fact, I think you said you didn't. No, it wasn't you. Someone said they hadn't done that, and which I found remarkable because every time I've taken one out of the box, it's been fine. So.
I find it remarkable. Also, history has shown that if you go on a forum, slot forum perhaps, where Maurizio is a habitual visitor, this is Maurizio Ferrari, the company founder, he will replace anything at cost. If you say, "Oh, my chassis was bent," usually there's a message up there a few days later going, "I've just had a new chassis." So there is that.
Yes, I think it's a small company that's very in touch with its customer base. Maurizio, they sponsor events, they turn up at events, but then so do the guys from Scalextric. They were in the Slot Festival in May, bringing lots of nice new cars for us to see and touch. They weren't behind glass. Everybody, members of the public, were allowed to just come up and pick them up. So, which was a newish thing for them, and I think that was to be applauded. So we're already sort of 13 minutes in, and so there's been gentle probing of defences and an outlining of tactics, and we're trying to pick between lemons and bicycles, really, aren't we? In some sense, but where are you? Who do you think?
I think, sorry, it comes down to, on a lot of things, price. So, for example, a Scalextric car standard issue release is now $53.99 or $50.99, and a Slot.it is £58. And for me, that's sort of unbeatable, really. If that's your RRP, and you can normally get deals which are better than RRP from our retailers, particularly the online ones, it's really hard to justify. Okay, I buy probably more Scalextric cars than I do Slot.its because of the subject matter, or because I want to repaint them to be something else. But in terms of the product that you get, as a slot racer, you can't really argue against Slot.it, I don't think. Not when you look at 70, 80, 85 pounds for the NSRs, Scale Autos, Avant slots, and then you look at the fit and finish of a Slot.it, and okay, I hear that people have had problems. Never had one myself, and that includes 60 Porsche 956 and 962s. all of which come out of the box, go on the track with the magnet out, and they're smooth. Yeah, tyres are questionable sometimes. Some of the compounds are lesser than others out of the box, but that's part of the Slot.it experience, is that you mix and match your tyres to suit what you do, or you don't, and you just have them, as most of my Porsches are, sitting on a shelf waiting for the rainy day to happen when you do a little 60-car Porsche run, a mini Rennsport reunion, which is fine.
Yes, that's That's the kind of thing I would love to do. Yes, bring them over.
But apart from that, the range is broad. The hubs don't look entirely right on some of them, some of the Group C cars particularly, but they're Euro standard, which means that they're relatively cost efficient to swap tyres to the compound that you want. All the parts are interchangeable. You can change your gear ratios, no problem. No knurled axles to deal with. Scalextric. The colours are almost always spot on. They haven't forever been spot on. The first Kuros Sauber was a very odd blue compared to the real thing, but the second release was much better. Maurizio sees these things, takes note of them, and acts immediately, whereas Scalextric isn't in that position. I'm sure that they would love to be. Certainly the brand manager, I think, would love to be in a position to sort of go, no, it's this colour. But as it is, colours plague his sleep, and I feel for him.
I think, well, to be fair, I think they don't get the chance to do it again. I mean, I think that's because of the big runs that they make things, relatively big runs.
Yeah.
They make a car, and that's in a livery, and that's it. Then they'll do another livery. I can't think that in recent years they've revisited the same livery on a car, and therefore they haven't really got the chance to change it or to update it or indeed. There's no, the mechanics are the mechanics. There's no kind of, again, Slot.it, you'll hear them saying, we're bringing out, was it, these better than I do, was it the Maserati that they've changed the Nissan? So they've changed the chassis to make the ride height a little bit better. I don't know what the cost of that was.
You're talking about GT3s, aren't you?
No. I think it was, in which case... The point being that there's an existing model which could have been better. So when they brought out the next livery, they didn't just put another livery on it; they changed the chassis.
Well, there are always changes. It could be a little thing on the chassis. It could be a slight weight reduction here or there, but there's never been the same release of a Slot.it Porsche 956 or 962. Yes, it's one of the very first moulds, and yes, there are usually some in each year's catalogue, but they all change. Like, if people come to the club and say which is the best Slot.it to buy, it's the most recent issue because there's a chamfer here or there's a couple of grams saved there, and stuff gets done. Which obviously, when you are aiming for that section of the market, that's something which helps your appeal. Doing little upgrades just means that, okay, maybe this one will be a bit quicker than my last one, and we race Slot.it as a class, and so, or race Slot.it against the other premium brands, and it just sort of helps keep that edge and keeps that interest in the marketplace, whereas Scalextric doesn't have to do that. It's not aiming at that segment, and as you say, only 10% of Scalextric cars are sold to people with that interest.
That was a guess number. I don't know. We'll find. Oops, sorry, hit the mic there. We'll find out. I think we're going to try and delve into some more of the detail of that in a future show. So we're now at nearly 20 minutes, which is twice as long as all the previous matches to show the weight and the seriousness.
It is the final. It is the final. It's the great.
So would you want to declare first? Time. Do you want to declare first, or shall I declare first? What do you want to do?
No, you go for it, Scott. You go for it.
Okay. I think it's quite close, actually, and I think it's a very honourable second place for the people who don't win. But I think because of everything we've just talked about for the last 20 minutes, so we'll recap it. I think it's got to be Slot.it Policar.
I agree, 100%.
There you go. So
Coin of Doom
the
can
coin
go
of doom
away.
can go, which is probably just as well, because that would have been unfortunate. So, commiserations to Scalextric and our friends down in Margate. I see friends in the generic sense, obviously. None of that. So there's no backroom what's it going on here. And also congratulations to Slot.it, Policar, and we say Maurizio and Maurizio because there's two of them who are the heads of that company, but obviously Maurizio Ferrari is the one we probably see most out at events. So congratulations to them, winners of the 2024 World Cup of Slot.
And literally tens of people will be dancing on the streets of Italy tonight.
Yeah. Now, I'd like to say, reaches off camera to say, I'd like to say that this is the trophy that we'll be sending.
You'd like to say that's the trophy,
I'd like to say
it's
that's
not
the
trophy.
But it's not.
What trophy is it?
It is the trophy for Brands Hatch Indy Round 26 of the British Touring Car Championship, November 15th, 2020.
eBay?
No, I was given it, by the way. I beg your pardon. I was given it. It's signed by the winning. Where's the camera? It's signed by the winning driver. So
Nice.
there you go. I had two, actually, but I very generously donated the other one to a former work colleague who was more excited about it than I was. Anyway, that's too big to post, frankly.
Yeah.
So that won't be winging its way to Italy. Sorry about that. We'll try and think of something that we can send them to commemorate this historic first win in the World Cup of Slot. And before we go, anything you want to say before we wrap up?
No, thank you for sticking with us. I apologise to the colonies that I'm not interested in Can-Am. And just thanks for doing it. Thanks for staying with us, and come back again when we're just bumbling and muttering and talking about whatever's been released this week.
Indeed. Right, it's been fun. Hope you enjoyed watching and listening. I look forward to the comments. Honestly, I do. And
I don't.
And we'll join you again soon. Thanks for listening.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.